The Ministry of Darkness was one of the more interesting and controversial stables at the time in professional wrestling. Starting out with The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, the group would go on to add the likes of Bradshaw, Farouk, Midian, Viscera, Edge, Christian, and Gangrel. The team would take part in witchcraft, rituals, and sacrifices. While the likes of Paul Bearer and Viscera are no longer with us, where are the remaining members of the Ministry of Darkness? Let's talk about that in today's Wrestling Ramble. Starting off with the leader of the Ministry of Darkness, we have The Undertaker. For the Armageddon event in 1999, Taker would be featured on the poster as he was advertised to make an appearance. Unfortunately, he would not be able to do so due to a torn pectoral muscle, which would take him out of action for roughly 8 months. This would lead to Taker returning in May of 2000 as the American Badass, a more human-like version of his persona. He would not return to his dead man character until the lead up to WrestleMania 20, where he would face off against Kane. On top of the versatility Undertaker showed with his differences in characters throughout the years, he has always been a mainstay in WWE, being a 7-time world champion, and of course had the longest running WrestleMania win streak in professional wrestling history. He would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the class of 2022. Following his illustrious pro wrestling career, The Undertaker is now retired and is enjoying life simply as Mark Calloway. He has made multiple appearances in various interviews, something he really did not do while he was in character working for WWE. Also, he is spending plenty of time with his family and occasionally makes appearances in WWE. Next up, we have John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL. During his time as a part of the Acolytes Protection Agency as well as the Ministry of Darkness and the Corporate Ministry, he was simply known as Bradshaw. After The Undertaker was defeated by Stone Cold Steve Austin at Fully Loaded, The Undertaker would be off programming for some time as Bradshaw and Farouk would lose their dark gimmick. He would continue to team with Farouk until shortly after WrestleMania 18, where Bradshaw and Farouk would be split due to the brand extension. Bradshaw would go to Raw, as Farouk wound up on SmackDown. Bradshaw would be in singles competition, but in 2003, he would end up reuniting with Farouk to reform the APA. This would lead to Bradshaw rebranding himself as John Bradshaw Layfield, or JBL. He would go on to defeat Eddie Guerrero at the Judgment Day pay-per-view in 2004 by disqualification, so the WWE Championship did not change hands from Guerrero to JBL. At the Great American Bash in a Texas Bull Rope match, JBL would defeat Eddie Guerrero and for the first time in his career become a world champion, capturing the WWE title. This run as WWE champion for JBL would arguably be the greatest portion of his career. He would still go on to have plenty of success in singles competition and even became a color commentator for WWE. These days, JBL is still working for WWE as an ambassador for the company. He is also an analyst for some of the events the promotion puts on. He has his own podcast with Gerald Briscoe called Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw, and he has made multiple appearances on television as a financial commentator. Up next, we have the former tag team partner of Bradshaw, Farouk, otherwise known as Ron Simmons. Prior to his time in WWE, Ron Simmons had made history, becoming the first African American to win the WCW World Heavyweight title, as he is also recognized by WWE as the first black world champion in professional wrestling history. After returning to WWE in June of 2003 and reuniting with Bradshaw to reform the APA, he would go on to lose a WWE Tag Team title match with Bradshaw, where the at the time SmackDown general manager Paul Heyman would tell Bradshaw he was allowed to stay and Simmons would be fired. Simmons, outside of the storyline, would retire from in-ring action. This was due to health and age, and he would end up becoming a backstage agent for the company. A lot of fans know Ron Simmons for his sporadic appearances across WWE programming, where he would wear his signature shirt and say his catchphrase, "Damn." He would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the class of 2012. His most recent appearance in WWE was on January 23rd of 2023 at Raw is 30. Moving on, we have Midian. After the Ministry of Darkness disbanded in late 1999 due to The Undertaker being injured, Midian would continue to use that same gimmick and would stay in a union with Viscera. They would also continue to work for The Undertaker, helping him out despite the ministry being dissolved. He would return to action in mid-2000 as Naked Midian, where he would run around the arena wearing simply a fanny pack, a pair of boots, and a thong. He would take part in a match for the European title against William Regal at No Mercy 2000 but came up short, and he made an appearance at Armageddon 2000, interfering in a match between Chris Jericho and Kane. He would go on to wrestle dark matches under his previous ring name of Tex Slazenger, but was released from WWE in January of 2001. Following his time in WWE, he would become a professional wrestling trainer near his home of Tampa, Florida. From 2003 to 2004, he would take part in dark matches for WWE, and in 2005 would end up working for TNA for a short stint. By 2006, he had retired from professional wrestling. He would take part in a few matches for Great Lakes Championship Wrestling in 2011 and 2012. In November of 2020, he would return to WWE to take part in The Undertaker's retirement ceremony at Survivor Series. In his life after professional wrestling, he has been working as a chef in Clearwater, Florida. And now we have the leader of the Brood, Gangrel. He led this faction with the likes of Edge and Christian before joining the Ministry. After his time in the Ministry had come to a close, the Brood would start a feud with the Hardy Boys and their manager Michael Hayes. This would lead to Gangrel turning on Edge and Christian and managing Matt and Jeff Hardy, calling them the New Brood. Gangrel would continue working for WWE until he was released in 2001. Since then, Gangrel has made many appearances wrestling on the independent scene, most recently in October of 2022 for Over the Top Wrestling's 8-year anniversary show. He also made a couple appearances for All Elite Wrestling, once in November of 2020 and another time in May of 2022. Outside of professional wrestling, Gangrel had an uncredited part as a prisoner in the Human Centipede 3 final sequence and was in a music video in 2015 for rapper Sunreal on the song For the Town. These days, Gangrel can be seen hanging out with his family and continuing to train up-and-coming professional wrestlers. Moving on to another former member of the Ministry of Darkness as well as the Brood, we have Edge. After his time in the Ministry, the Brood would continue on, and then later without Gangrel, as Edge and Christian would just team by themselves. After having great success in his tag team with Christian, the two would eventually feud with one another, as Christian turned on Edge. This would eventually lead to Edge breaking out as a singles competitor. Arguably, his biggest moment in his professional wrestling career was being the inaugural winner of the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2005, and using that contract to cash in on John Cena to win his first world title, the WWE Championship. He would subsequently have a feud with Cena, but would remain a staple in the main event scene for years to come, capturing the WWE title a total of 4 times and the World Heavyweight Championship 7 times. Following his initial retirement from in-ring action due to his neck injury, Edge would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the class of 2012. Also following his initial retirement, Edge would take part in the sci-fi series Ghostmind and was in the second season of The Flash, among other projects. These days, Edge can still be seen as a part of WWE as he has come out of retirement for one last run. Last but certainly not least, we have Christian. After leaving the ministry, parting ways with Gangrel, and eventually turning on Edge, Christian would also be on his own as a singles competitor. He would find relative success in the mid-card of WWE, capturing many titles, but was never able to win the big one. This would lead to him leaving WWE for TNA, where he became a multiple-time world champion. He would eventually return to WWE on the ECW brand in 2009, where he would win the ECW world title. Later, Christian would go on to become a 2-time world heavyweight champion. Christian has taken part in television shows such as House and Haven, and films like Supergrid and Cage Fighter Worlds Collide. These days, Christian can be seen as an active competitor on the All Elite Wrestling roster. And that was the Ministry of Darkness, and where are they now? I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.